you are the type of person who goes on vacation and then you find yourself scrolling Zillow, looking at homes for sale, or maybe Airbnb for rental potential, then hit that like and subscribe button because we should be friends.
What's up guys, I'm Steven.
And I'm Kylie, and we found ourselves in that exact situation this summer while we were on vacation visiting family.
This home purchase was not planned, at least not right now, but here we are. We're owners of a 15-acre farm in central Iowa.
Those who can't farm celery.
We're going to be breaking down the who, what, where, when, how, and why of this investment property purchase, including how we were able to fund the deal without the use of banks or being limited by our debt to income ratio.
We've bought investment properties in the past with partners like we did on our Arizona property, but this one is just us.
We did this because we intend for this house to not be like our primary residence where we're there year round, but we do plan to spend a good portion of our year there.
The other who's in this picture are the sellers, and they're a husband and wife who they actually built the house themselves. They've been the only owners and they really took great care of the property.
And then both Steven and I, as the buyers and also the sellers, were each represented by real estate brokers, which is actually an interesting story and is just one of the reasons why this property was just meant to be.
Like it was meant to be.
If you've been around our channel before, you probably know that we have a property management business, and a lot of our properties in that business are centered around the Palm Springs area in California.
What you probably don't know is that one of Steven's good friends from Iowa, Nicole, she is a real estate agent in the Des Moines area, and she connected us with her broker who was interested in buying a home in the Palm Springs area to use as an investment property.
Her name is Megan, and so Kylie's mom, who's also a real estate broker, helped Megan identify and find a property in early 2021. We did the full interior design and setup of that property, and it's been a midterm rental since that time in 2021.
Since then, a few other real estate professionals, all sort of connected in some way to Megan and Nicole, have also purchased properties, investment properties in the Palm Springs area, and have become management clients with us.
And one of those clients, Kyle, just happened to be representing the sellers in this transaction.
It was really meant to be.
Now for the what. It's a 15-acre farm. Right now it's not a working farm with animals or anything like that, but it does have 2 outbuildings and a nice good sized house and a large garden. And on the land there's 3,000 mature hardwood trees and then a grove of apple trees, and it's just a really cool and unique spot.
Apple, peach, and cherry.
Oh, okay.
We're excited about that.
There's fruit literally everywhere.
And then the where, this property is located in central Iowa, about 25 minutes from downtown Des Moines.
So the nearby surrounding area is built up with shopping centers and restaurants and anything we would need, but the property itself is super private, which was what we were looking for.
Moving to the middle of Iowa is not something that I had ever considered, and so in order for it to be a consideration, I had a pretty specific list of criteria that I would want in a house that we were going to be spending a good portion of the year at. But with respect to location, I wanted to be close to, restaurants and a good grocery store.
Des Moines metro area.
I think I said Trader Joe's and Farmers Market.
Oh.
I was really being a little picky with the Iowa move.
Did someone say fine dining?
And then the other one is that we both really wanted this to be a private space and not have, neighbors right next door. And we wanted to be close to Steven's sister and her family, and they're actually like less than 10 minutes away, so it's perfect.
Now for the when. We closed on this transaction this summer, and we hadn't even really kind of conceptualized this idea until a few weeks before we went on our trip to Iowa in July.
It all started when Megan posted on Facebook that she had this new mega mansion listing in West Des Moines.
This is a crazy house, a big house, and then it also has a whole separate structure with a basketball court, a golf simulator, a gym. It was over the top.
So Steven sends me the link to this property, and I think I said something like I would move to Iowa for that house or something like that, like as a joke, but you should have seen the way that his eyes lit up when I said those words, move to Iowa.
My whole immediate family lives in Iowa, and my longtime friends live in Iowa, so it is hard when we only see them a couple times a year. After Kylie was interested, we started talking about the idea of having a place there where we could spend some more time than just our typical, 1-week vacations.
This was in like May or early June, and we did have a big 3-week trip planned to visit family and friends in Iowa in July. July. So we were just talking very like broadly about spending some time exploring different areas like around the Des Moines metro area while we were in the state.
Yeah, we definitely didn't plan to buy anything. We just wanted to look around at different areas of the metro, see what they were like, see what areas we felt like we liked, things like that. From there, we thought maybe next year we'd be in a better position where we were ready to buy something.
And the reason for wanting to delay the purchase till next year, or really needing to delay it till next year, is because we just launched that big 77-acre property that we've been working on for like a year and a half. So not only are we paying off the HELOC that we took out for that property, but we also don't have any rental income or rental history for that property. No bank is going to lend to us right now, not a chance.
Not even a little one.
We can't loan you any more money.
And speaking of that property, it's a relief that it is done and online. We named it BaseCamp 74, and if you'd like to check that out, check out the link we'll put in the description below. We'd appreciate it if you give it a wish list heart, if you love it, and hope to see you there sometime.
Back to the story. During our time in Iowa, we actually celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary. Steven's dad and his stepmom graciously agreed to watch the kids for the weekend so we could take a little kid-free getaway. And we had planned to drive to Des Moines for the weekend.
So we decided to reach out to my friend Nicole. She's the one who referred Megan, the client of ours with the property in Palm Springs area, and we gave her kind of the idea that we wanted to look at some areas of town.
Yeah, we sent her a text, told her that we were going to be in Des Moines without the kids for a couple days, and could she maybe just recommend some neighborhoods or parts of town. Kind of gave her a little wish list, some recommendations to just drive around, like not even look at houses, just drive the area.
She responded like a couple minutes later and said, "Can you FaceTime right now? I'm with Megan and we want to show you a property." And we're like, okay.
Oh no.
I'm buying a house.
It wasn't the house that we ended up buying. It was a really cool house. It wasn't the one, but them showing us around that house did just kind of open the doors to the idea of maybe actually looking at houses and not just areas. Even though we did tell them like every single time, we're not ready to buy. We're not ready to buy. This is just going to be looking. They're good at their job, those two.
They know what they're doing.
You got me again.
After that FaceTime call, they sent over a list of properties that kind of they knew would fit our criteria. And one of the things we realized from that is that we would be okay with a renovation project.
Not only open to it, but probably would prefer it. If you've been around our channel for any amount of time, especially if you follow us on Instagram, then you probably know that we are not afraid of a reno project. We like to get our hands dirty and make us, it's been doing black grout, so literally hands dirty sometimes. And that's to make the space exactly how we want it to be.
We'd rather put the work into a property to make it exactly what we want than to pay a premium to have someone else have done renovations that maybe aren't the choices that we'd ideally like.
That type of mentality is not for everyone, but it's us. And maybe it's you too. If it is you too, let me know in the comments. Drop us a comment and tell us about some projects that you've done.
When we changed that sort of mentality and then we lowered our price point a bit to include houses that would need a bit of renovation, we found the one.
The one.
The one?
So while we were on that Des Moines getaway, Megan arranged for us to see the house and we fell in love with it, which was actually really sad because we knew that there was no way that we were going to be able to get a conventional loan, and the chances of the seller being on board with seller financing, we figured it was a long shot.
So you might be wondering why we even went to look at the house. You know, Kylie wasn't totally sold on the move. We weren't ready to buy the house and couldn't qualify for a loan, and maybe we were just wasting Megan's time. All of those are valid points.
We just felt like we were just drawn to this property and it just felt too unique to pass up. There just aren't very many big acreages like this that feel this private with all these mature trees that are this close to the metro area.
We've kind of gotten good about having a feeling when we see a property that we want
We
and
know.
see ourselves, and we had that feeling again.
Trust your gut.
Breathe into your crown chakra.
Before looking at the house, we actually did do the long sort of drive around Des Moines tour, and one of the things we realized is how many homes just really feel suburban and are close to neighbors, and there's nothing wrong with that. Some people like that aspect, but we really wanted the privacy. Another thing we saw in some of the sort of outskirts of the metro were houses that are on big lots, but the house was pushed all the way up close to the main road, which is a pretty common thing in rural Iowa.
And I do want to put in a little side note that I have nothing against Iowa. I really like visiting Iowa. Steven's family is wonderful. His friends are wonderful. The big thing for me is the winters. It's too darn cold. And tornadoes. Winters and tornadoes. that was my thing.
I don't like thunderstorms in general. Thunder and lightning
I'm getting
goes.
used to them. They just keep me up at night. I mean, that's not like a big deal. I'm not like afraid of them, maybe a little bit.
Nothing but scary. Here's some lightning and thunder.
And as far as why I finally broke down and agreed to entertain the idea of moving, it's, multifaceted, but really it just comes down to family. We want to be able to spend time with Steven's family and be around our niece and our nephew and go to birthday parties and all of the things that we can't really do when we're living full-time in California.
But at the same time, Kylie's family is all California for the most part, so if we just picked up and left, we'd miss our times with them too.
And this is the great thing about entrepreneurship and, the remote capability of our business is we could compromise. So what we've decided to do is to split our time. We're going to spend part of the year here in the desert in California, and we're going to spend the other part of the year in Iowa. This solves my issue of not wanting to spend winters in Iowa, at least not the whole time. And if I'm being completely honest, we're getting a little tired of Palm Springs summers as well.
Last year, we transitioned to homeschooling our son, and we plan to do the same thing with our daughter when she gets a little bit older. So we really do have the flexibility to be anywhere.
The biggest thing that we're working on now is setting up systems and a strong team here in the Palm Springs area so that we can be away from our business for longer periods of time.
We definitely know that we have to come back regularly to the desert because we don't just want to walk away from that connection that we have to our properties here.
We think it's going to be sort of a slow transition to spending a little bit more and more time there each year.
I'm actually headed out there tomorrow to get some things settled at the house. It'll be the first time we've seen it since we closed, and gonna do some things like install cameras and door locks and get ready for interior paint. That is one of the first projects we decided to do, was paint the entire interior.
Just probably going to offend some people. Some people don't like when you go in and paint original trim work, but we think when it all comes together, it's going to look really nice, so maybe we can win you over.
This place is almost charming. Very rustic cottage.
And finally, how? How were we able to purchase this property without involving a bank?
And the answer was seller financing. Our first offer to the sellers was a bit below asking price. We asked for 10% down, seller financing at 6.75% interest, amortized over a 20-year period with a balloon at 5 years.
They countered us with a little bit higher selling price. This was a 15% cash down payment, a 6.75% loan, amortized over 20 years, with a balloon payment due at 5 years.
We couldn't believe that they even agreed to seller financing. That was just the biggest shock of it all. But they were really easygoing. They owned the property outright, so they had no debt on it.
And the owner had said that he'd owned his own business in his career and understands that for entrepreneurs, it can be hard to purchase a property when you're self-employed.
Or to qualify for loans, even if you have the income to justify the purchase. The escrow process was super easy. It was probably the easiest transaction we've ever done. Inspections went well. There were a few minor issues that came up, but the sellers agreed to either repair or reimburse us for the cost of the little fixes.
We had a lawyer write up a purchase contract that we went through a couple iterations between us and the seller. We finalized that, and then we got homeowners insurance sorted out. For now, we just got an ordinary owner-occupied policy, but we may have some clever ideas for the future on how to create unique short-term stays on this property.
Since it's 15 mostly densely wooded acres, we're thinking about maybe building a treehouse Airbnb or something fun like that on the other side, away from us.
I like my privacy.
We signed that contract, had it notarized, and sent that off to Iowa with our down payment money. And a few days later, my sister and brother-in-law picked up the keys.
And now we are proud owners of a farm in Iowa, something that I never ever thought that I would say, ever. But here we are, and we really are excited.
We are excited for the future and the potential of creating this space, to be exactly like we want. And I'm excited to go tomorrow and, see the house, really get to know it, and start to lay out our plans for what the future projects are after the paint.
We'll be sure to keep you updated on improvements that we make to the house as they come along, probably over on Instagram, so check us out over there.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.